So, you just finished the 2011 Hunter x Hunter anime and you want more. Well, let me tell you, I've been there. And also, let me tell you that the story of Hunter x Hunter is far from finished. We are about to depart on a new adventure. But before we start, please be aware that this video contains spoilers. Spoilers of these manga volumes. So basically everything that is after the 2011 anime, and obviously I will be spoiling a lot of stuff that happened in the actual anime. So if you haven't watched Hunter x Hunter, please go watch it. And this will be a summary of the events, or you can call it a review of the events that happened after the anime. So everything that happened after chapter 340 till chapter 400. I will not go into deep details because I do not want to ruin the story for someone who haven't read it yet. So it will be a quick summary of the events that is happening and my own thoughts on it. We will save the details on each topic and each chapter and each storyline for their own videos. So if you're interested in that, please make sure to subscribe. If you haven't read the manga, I will not go into details. Yes, you can watch this video, but maybe after you finish it, go and read the manga and enjoy the story yourself. So the first chapter after the main story finished, the story that is in the anime, we hear a weird announcement. The Emperor of Kakin is an empire that is located in the world of Hunter x Hunter. And the Emperor of Kakin declares a voyage to the Dark Continent. And who will be next to King Nasubi? King Nasubi is the guy, like the ruler of Kakin, who is right by his side. Someone called Beyond Netero. That is Isaac Netero's child. And all of this information we get from the first chapter after the chairman election arc finishes. So yeah, there's a lot that is happening here. After that, we discovered that Netero, like main Netero, left a message for the Zodiacs. Basically saying in that message, if someone comes up, say, pretending or declaring that he's my son, will believe them. And please don't let anyone go to the Dark Continent. The Dark Continent is a dangerous place. So now a burden has been bestowed on the Zodiac to stop this voyage. And now we begin a new arc called the Dark Continent Expedition Arc. This is a mini arc. It only lasted 8 chapters, but it's a very important arc because in this arc we learn a lot of information about the Dark Continent. The most important piece of information that we get is that obviously the Dark Continent is a very dangerous place, but with every voyage or every attempt that humans tried to go to this mysterious place, they have returned with a calamity, with a disaster. Something very, very bad happens when humans try to go to the Dark Continent. So we get introduced to what is known as the 5 calamities. I, the codependent of desire. Do you know Nonika, Killua's sister? That's basically it. Breon, a sphere-headed thingamajig that protects mystical ruins. Hellbill, a twin snake that is straight out of your nightmares. A beast, this is really messed up. A beast that keeps people as pets. But here's the thing. This beast controls people by feeding them a feeling of happiness. So he keeps people as pets and they don't feel like they're being kept as pets. They feel kind of enjoyment, but they are in a terrible condition. And finally, this freaking thing, Zobi. What the dude? No. And we get like a small hint that the chimera ants, you know, the chimera ants, the piece of biology that changed the world of Hunter x Hunter, that took a very long arc that was extremely difficult on the viewer, and it was a challenging story and characters we love got lost, and it was a very, very difficult yet beautiful experience. You know, this threat, the chimera ants, they also originated from the Dark Continent. And here's the thing. Their threat level is not even the highest among the other calamities that I've just mentioned. So how about that? So what happens next on this story? Obviously, we go on a side quest. With who? With Ging Freaks. And yeah, you can basically say that Ging is somewhat of a main focus of that mini arc. Where is Gon, you might ask? Well, Gon and Killua do not make any appearance during this arc. They do in a very small, like 2 pages. Gon makes an appearance, but we'll talk about that later. Ging is in a side quest with Pariston Hill. Both of them have resigned their duties from the Zodiacs. So now their position is vacant. Who will fill their position? You're gonna love this. Leorio and Kurapika. Ging obviously wants to go to the Dark Continent. We learned that from the previous arc. And now he's on this little quest of gathering intel and building a team that will help him build somewhat of an alliance to go to the Dark Continent. I think the main reason we went on this little side trip with Pariston and Ging is that we get a glimpse of the Nen of Ging. We didn't know his type yet, but it's a very awesome power that he has. I will not spoil it here, please go read it yourself. And to end this mini arc, we get something very, very awesome. We get something that we've waited for a very, very long time. We get the Hisoka Crollo fight, finally. Now, I have to be honest, this fight comes out of nowhere. There is no build-up, there is no setup before it, there is nothing. You just turn on the next chapter and here it is. Crollo and Hisoka in the Heavens Arena fighting to the death. It's amazing, it's awesome. I will not spoil this fight, of course. But let me just say that this fight turned out way, way, way better than anything I had in mind. This fight deserves its own 5 videos, honestly. And after the fight ends, I tried to not spoil the ending of the fight, but after this fight ends, the voyage to the Dark Continent begins. And now begins a new arc. You might think that this new arc will be called like the Dark Continent arc. No. It's called the Succession War arc. And it's one of the most genius ideas that Togashi's had in this story thus far. So that's how I like to look at this arc. People might disagree with me, but honestly, I think this is what it is. You know how Hunter x Hunter is basically the story of Gon trying to find his father. That's what we get from the start, but the more we watch, the more we realize it's not really about that. It's a story with a lot of adventures. And the moral that we get at the end is that we shouldn't focus on the goal, basically. We should enjoy the side trips. Well, I think this next part of the Hunter story is, yes, it's the story of going to the Dark Continent. But the main actual story is what happens on that voyage. And the Succession War is amazing. So what is the Succession War? Basically, remember this guy, Nasubi, the king of Kakin, the country that is leading the voyage to the Dark Continent? Well, this guy has, or actually not him that has this idea, it's kind of a tradition. In order to choose the next king or the next emperor or the next ruler of this empire, Kakin, a succession war has to be held. It's like a religious ceremony, a traditional ceremony for them. And how would they begin this ceremony? Well, the ceremony began with the voyage to the Dark Continent. So that's what a succession war is. It's a war between the offspring of Nasubi to decide who will replace him, who will be the next king of Kakin. This guy, Nasubi, has 14 kids. And the succession war is basically a battle to the death. And whoever survives this war will be the heir to the throne. Now you might think, Is it as simple as they will start fighting each other and the strongest will win? No, it's not like that. It's actually a war with a lot of complicated rules. Like the first rule, no prince can kill the other prince. No, it's banned. They cannot do that. So how would they fight each other? They will fight each other using nen beasts. And here's one caveat of that. Each prince cannot see or know anything about his own nen beast. It's such a twisted way to tell this story, yet it's such a dope story. I obviously want to talk about the nen beast of each prince, but once again, I will reserve that to its own video where I can say it with spoilers free. But there's another thing that is happening on that big ship that is going to the Dark Continent. Oh, have I mentioned that there's a lot of people going to the Dark Continent? You got a lot of people from the Hunter Association. You got the Phantom Troop aboard the ship. You got Leorio, obviously, and you got the main protagonist of this part of the story, Kurapika. Because Kurapika is hired as a bodyguard to protect the smallest prince. It's actually very cool. But aboard the ship is also the mafia that basically rules everything. And there are families in that mafia. It's divided into 3 major families. And who has business with this family? It's the Phantom Troop. They're also on the ship. And right now, you got a conflict going on between the princes and each other because they're fighting each other to see who will win in the succession war. And you got the Hunter Association who hired bodyguard for each of the princes. And you have the families and the mafia in the lower decks of the ship also fighting with each other. And you got the Phantom Troop also on the ship doing stuff with the mafia. And out of nowhere, 2 major mind-boggling things happen. The first thing, we get introduced to the 4th prince, Sridnik. You gotta, take good care of this guy because I've never seen something that is more evil than him. It's on another level, seriously. And we get the backstory of the Phantom Troop. And let me just say, it's one of the saddest things I've ever read in my life. Was it what we been waiting for to know more about these thugs and to know their backstories and why they do the things that they do? It was more than anticipated. It was more than what I was anticipating. No matter the fan theories that I came up with when I saw the York New arc, nothing could have prepared me to what I actually got. And the story or the backstory of the Phantom Troop is just something else. And that's where the manga stopped, and that's where the manga went on hiatus. Right now, there is no new chapters coming out yet. The last update we got from Togashi on Twitter is that he's working on the next chapter and it will be released soon. So of course, when it's released, we're going to talk about it here and now. You might take this video as an incentive to reread the manga or to start reading the manga if you only watched the anime, and join us here at the Hunter Society where we do a whole lot of content related to hunters in general. So thank you so much for watching. You can watch some of these videos to get a better idea of what we do here, and thank you, and I'll see you over there.